Welcome back to the deep dive, where we dig into some really specific research materials and pull out the key insights for you. Basically, a shortcut to getting up to speed.
Exactly. And today, the specificity is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, we're talking super focused. We've got sources that zoom right in on one single song, a famous one, obviously, but looking at it almost scientifically.
It's a set of excerpts called All My Loving Recording Analysis. So yeah, the Beatles, that track.
Right, All My Loving. Okay, let's unpack this a bit. I mean, everyone knows this song, right? Early Beatles, 1963. Sounds kind of straightforward, catchy, quick.
Mm-hmm. Very energetic.
But the fact that someone did a deep, forensic analysis of just this recording, well, that suggests there's more going on under the hood than you might think.
Definitely. And it's not about the music theory side, the chords or the melody structure.
Right.
No, this is really about the audio engineering. Think of it like audio forensics. How was the sound built? What gear did they use? Mic placement, tape effects, that sort of thing.
Okay, so that's the first kind of aha moment, isn't it? Realizing that this song, which feels so spontaneous and live, was actually constructed pretty carefully in the studio, even back then.
Precisely. Even in 63.
But why this song? All My Loving, why not, I don't know, She Loves You, or I Want to Hold Your Hand? What makes this one special enough for that kind of deep dive?
Well, I think that's part of the insight, actually. All My Loving kind of sounds simple, but it has this incredibly tight, driving groove.
Yeah.
It really, it set a standard.
You mean the rhythm section?
Yeah, exactly. Paul's bass line, that sort of galloping feel, played with a pick, which was a bit different. And Ringo's drumming is just relentless. Super steady.
Okay.
So it's famous enough that people will want to read the analysis, sure, but I think the structure itself makes it interesting to analyze. It's short, punchy, no room for error, really.
So any little studio tricks they use to get that perfect sound would be easier to spot, like a clean sample for study?
Pretty much, yeah. It's a good candidate for really close examination.
Okay, so let's assume this analysis exists because it found some specific nuggets worth sharing. What can it tell us about that core rhythm we were just talking about? We all feel the energy, but what does a forensic look reveal?
Well, what's fascinating is how much the analysis would likely focus on just the sheer precision, tempo, timing.
Like how fast it actually is?
Yeah, the sources imply it's, almost metronomic, but still feels alive. It's quick, around 165 beats per minute, which is pretty aggressive for the time.
Right.
But it's more than just speed. The analysis would probably isolate Ringo's hi-hat work, that very distinct, slightly ticky, closed hi-hat sound.
It cuts through everything.
Exactly. And the analysis would document the specific EQ equalization they used on it. Back then, EQ was a big decision. You didn't just slap it on everything. Making that hi-hat cut through the guitars was a deliberate choice to drive the song. The analysis would note that setting.
That's a great point. It changes it from just Ringo played fast to the engineer specifically carved out a sonic space for that hi-hat. It makes you appreciate the technical craft alongside the performance.
Totally.
Okay, let's shift to the vocals. Paul's lead, the harmonies. The Beatles were famous for that blend, but we also know they were working with, 4-track recorders? Pretty limited tech.
Yeah, 4-track was standard then.
So what secrets could an analysis of the vocals on All My Loving uncover? What technical tricks were they using?
Well, this is likely where one of the big Abbey Road innovations comes in, something the analysis would definitely document. ADT, automatic double tracking.
ADT. Okay, what's that?
It was kind of revolutionary, developed by Ken Townsend at EMI. Basically, it was a way to make a single vocal take sound like two voices singing in perfect unison, but without the singer actually having to sing it perfectly twice, which is really hard to do.
Right, you'd always get slight variations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. ADT creates this thickening effect electronically.
So, wait, is that cheating? Or just a smart studio trick, and how does it work?
Well, you could call it a workaround, maybe.
Yeah.
Born out of necessity, really. The analysis would explain that it involves taking the original vocal signal from the tape machine, delaying it by a tiny, constantly varying amount, like maybe 15 to 30 milliseconds, using a second tape machine with its speed slightly altered, and then mixing that delayed signal back with the original.
Okay.
So what you hear isn't quite two distinct voices, but one really rich, full present sound just sort of leaps out. The analysis would pinpoint where ADT was used, probably on the lead vocal, maybe harmonies too, and potentially how those parts were positioned in the stereo field.
Panning. That's crucial too, right? Placing sounds left or right. We mostly listen in stereo now, but mono was still huge then. What would the analysis say about stereo placement on this track?
We will probably detail that really wide, almost extreme stereo separation you hear on a lot of early Beatles stereo mixes.
Yeah, sometimes it's like drums way over here, vocals way over there.
Exactly. For All My Loving, it's very likely the analysis would show the main backing track, drums, bass, rhythm guitar pushed hard to one side, maybe the left, and then the lead vocal, harmonies, and maybe George's guitar solo would be way over on the right.
Seems a bit unnatural now, maybe?
It does now, yeah. But back then, it was the deliberate strategy. Remember, they were battling tape hiss, sounds leaking between tracks. Hard panning like that gave each element maximum clarity and punch, especially coming out of radios or basic record players. The analysis documents that as a specific engineering choice for impact.
So it's not just the band playing, it's the engineer Norman Smith probably, or George Martin, overseeing it, actively shaping how we perceive the performance. The studio itself is almost like another instrument.
It really is. And the analysis would probably go further, maybe talk about compression.
Controlling the volume levels.
Yeah, keeping things consistent. Early rock could sound a bit thin sometimes, but All My Loving has this fantastic energy in the low end, right? That driving bass. The analysis might pinpoint how they got that. Maybe close miking Paul's bass amp to capture the proximity effect that boosts in low frequencies when a mic is close. And then using compression, which is like an automatic volume control, to keep that galloping bass line really solid and present throughout the whole track, never getting lost.
Interesting.
And it really brings up that question again. How much of why this song still sounds so good is the raw performance, and how much is the technical environment they created for it? The analysis suggests you really can't separate the two. The tech enabled the performance to shine.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest takeaway for anyone listening, isn't it? You stop just passively hearing the song and start realizing it was built, like, piece by piece, technical decision after technical decision. And knowing this analysis exists kind of gives you a map.
It's a shortcut, exactly.
Yeah.
Using a song you already know inside out to understand some pretty fundamental studio techniques.
So now, when you hear All My Loving, you're not just hearing the melody and the words. You're hearing the ADT on the vocal, making it sound thick. You're hearing the specific EQ choice that makes Ringo's hi-hat snap. You're hearing that hard panning creating space.
Right.
It makes you listen differently, not just to this song, but maybe to any song. You start wondering, okay, what choices did they make here? Things hidden in plain sight.
It definitely encourages that more active, critical listening. You move past just, I like this song, to appreciating how it was put together. Why does it still sound so tight and punchy 60-plus years later? The technical genius is a huge part of that.
Yeah.
The existence of this analysis basically gives us the blueprint for that sonic magic we all recognize. It's an interesting way to look at it, amusing almost in its detail, but totally respectful of the craft involved. Science meeting art to make pop history.
Well, that feels like a good place to wrap up this particular deep dive. We went right into the weeds of sonic architecture today, focusing on just one track. Thanks for coming along on this very detailed exploration. Hopefully next time you hear that intro kick in,
You'll be thinking about the mixing desk.
maybe, or at least appreciating another layer of it.
Yeah. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. If a seemingly simple pop song like All My Loving, something we feel we know so well, actually required this level of intense technical analysis to fully grasp all its components, what else are we hearing every day that deserves that same kind of close listen? Think about the sounds around you, background noise, music, anything. What crucial layers, what deliberate sonic choices might you be missing just because you haven't, put them under the microscope yet?